And a great pleasure to welcome to WTMY today, man who's going to be starring in a show over at the Van Wezel called Chicago, the great Broadway hit, and he'll be performing on March 4th and 5th, 2 night shows and a matinee on the 5th. Great to welcome the man you all know from television, of course, Seinfeld, Dancing with the Stars, Family Feud, John O'Hurley joining us today. John, good to talk with you. How are you?
And you as well. Nice to spend some time with you.
Yeah, I had a chance to kind of go online and read about you a little bit. I knew you did some music in the past, but I didn't know you were doing some theater work. So you've been doing this role for a while now, haven't you, in Chicago?
Yeah, I started actually back in the early 80s on Broadway, and then continued on there till the late 80s when I discovered television. And I guess the fact that you could move the decimal point over one spot when you went over to TV. But my love has always been the theater, and I've returned 2005 to the Broadway Institute Chicago. I've done over 1,000 performances of it, both on Broadway and in the tours that I've done in successive years.
You play the role that I think the original show was done by the great Jerry Orbach, Billy Flynn. Great role.
It was. Yeah, the show actually had its origins back in the mid-'70s.
Right.
Had a 2-year run there, not as successful as they hoped it would be.
Yeah, I grew up in New York, and I remember when it came out originally. And like you said, it was successful, but it did not really take off until kind of unusual for a Broadway revival to be actually more successful, at least lengthwise, than the original.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting, but it certainly represents. I think it had its time in '95 when it was resurrected. It was. I think we were more of a media savvy nation, and this really is about. It goes to the root of that we hold our celebrities to a different moral standard. This is based on a true story back in the 20s where a little chorus girl happened to be guilty or charged with murder of her boyfriend, and in comes the slick attorney and turns her into a celebrity in front of the eyes of the jury, and she gets acquitted.
I know the O.J. Simpson trial, they say, was kind of the impetus as far as the resurrection of interest in the show Chicago, because that told that kind of story, although it took place, in the 20s and before that, but that kind of was a similar type of story.
And successive the stories that come out of Hollywood. And again, we seem to hold, we're in a culture driven by celebrities, and it seems to, we hold them to different standards. We cut them down and love to see them revive.
What do you enjoy most about the role? It has a lot of layers to it. He's kind of a con man, but as con men go, they're likable. You get to do a little singing and dancing as well. It must be kind of fun for you as an actor, huh?
Well, I like him. One of the reasons I like him is I think he kind of represents that one of the last of the elegant leading men in the Broadway musicals, and I like that style. I like that type of culture, and I like that type of character. I find him a very complicated and very complex character. And I like to, as I've done, as I say, over 1,000 performances, I've been able to peel back the layers and have moved quite deeply into him.
Yeah, when you do that many performances, and I've had a chance to talk to some other Broadway actors and actresses, obviously the challenge of it is keeping it fresh. Like you said, you kind of can peel back the layers of it. Do you find something new, I guess, every night, or do you try to do that? Is that the challenge?
Well, yeah, actually, I say one prayer to myself before I go on stage, and it is, God, let me be surprised. And what I mean by that is really I just like to come back. Every night something surprises me. I know the words that I have to say. I just don't know how they're going to come out. So I don't come in with any advance notice in my head. I just basically kind of play it out as I hear it. And every night it's different, and it has a wonderfully kind of renewing energy to it every night. So it's not that hard to keep sustaining over as many performances as I've done.
Did you get any kind of influence from watching the film, or did you kind of stay away from that? I know that came about 10 years ago now, but did you watch that first, or did you kind of just go by the Broadway?
No, I knew the show. I've had more time to spend with this character than Richard Gere did, so I had a different take on him. He's not a... I actually see some very lovely values in this guy. I think he is the slick, eloquent lawyer, the razzle-dazzle. But I think there's also some qualities, like he has a paternal sense as well. I like to play in the character, and I think it makes him a little bit more endearing, along with that kind of brittle irony that he has as well.
Great thing, of course, with this show is a lot of people remember, or maybe have heard about it, if they haven't seen the show, is the Bob Fosse choreography, which he had a great, unique style of choreography, and you get to do some of that. I guess it's similar now with this production, right?
Absolutely. This is all the Fosse choreography in it. It still represents some of the best music that Kander ever wrote, which is one of the reasons that I think it's one of the 5 great musicals in all of Broadway history. And the show just continues to live and live and live and live. And it's something, if you've never even seen a Broadway show before, this is a great show to kind of cut your eye teeth on, because it never fails to draw audiences to their feet at the end of the night. It has an extraordinary feeling. It's just a beautiful night in the theater. Who's playing
Roxy and Velma in this production?
We have two of the girls from Broadway. You might not know their names. Basically, they're not television names, but they've been on the tour with me for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great roles for women as well, and.
Exactly, yeah.
Roxy really has that kind of metamorphosis type from accused of a crime, then she becomes a star in her own right through this whole thing.
It is, yes, and that's the fun of it. And and that's the fun of the show, is that it's about these incredibly complicated personalities, and you're just watching them all razzle dazzle each other.
And you get to do that famous number. That's a little tap dancing, right?
That's exactly right.
John, a lot of people obviously know you from your work on television, and of course you did the game show for a few years. I know you did that in California, or did you do it here in Orlando area, in Florida? I'm not sure where you did that.
We shot everything in California, actually.
Okay, I know they moved it to Orlando at one point, but you did that. Did you enjoy that?
That was the point at which I left the show, because I have a young 7-year-old son, and so. Right. Becoming an absent father was not really in my agenda, so I had to leave the show then.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you for that. Did you enjoy the game show hosting? I think you did a great job with it.
I had a great time with Family Feud. It really was. I did it for 4 seasons, and it was it's just such an enjoyable thing to go to work, and we'd shoot them on the weekends. We'd shoot 12 shows on a weekend. It was just a wonderful atmosphere. It's kind of like having an extended cocktail party.
Were you kind of surprised when you did the Dancing with the Stars show, the great reaction you got? I know you won the reunion show, right?
Well, they actually had the dance-off there. I won back the first season. They had some controversy in the voting, right. So they had to kind of, at the end of the season, they had to kind of redo and have a 2-hour dance-off. I did win that. But it was amazed at the response. Absolutely. I mean, no one could have predicted that a kind of summer replacement series would, all of a sudden have 37 million people watching it. It just represents good television, live music. You're watching the beautiful art of ballroom dancing, which had never really been seen before by this country, and then had been kind of eschewed off because of we changed their style of dancing back in the 70s when we kind of just grabbed each other and swayed to the music, and it brought back that wonderful tradition, the cultural tradition of ballroom dancing.
Yeah, great stuff. Of course, people know you as well from playing Mr. Peterman on Seinfeld. I guess that'll be like the Honeymooners or I Love Lucy. You're always going to be out there somewhere, John, on somebody's TV screen.
It is kind of funny to be part of that show, because it's I don't know. People say they watch it. They never stop watching it. That when they see a rerun of Seinfeld, they'll stop and spend the time. I think it's a little bit like comfort food in a way. It's like the way the story ends. You just like to watch them get there every time. It
really is. I mean, when Seinfeld, obviously, or a Honeymooners comes on, just you flip the channel and you do want to watch it because you know it's going to be funny, and that was the great thing. It was funny and not offensive.
And just classic too. It was such classic television, and it had its time. And they were the championship team in the championship season. It was a joy and an honor to be part of it.
Well, you can see John here at the Van Wezel on March 4th and 5th. Now, the good news is the night shows, I believe, are sold out, but the matinee, which they've added, there's some seats available. That's on March the 5th, 2 o'clock show. And I know matinees are a little more challenging for actors, John, but you get good audiences in matinees. And at least I know that on Broadway.
We've been selling out since the 1st of September all around the country. Yeah. It's been pretty amazing.
And you're in Chicago now, and appreciate taking a few minutes. I know it's kind of early just to get up and talk to radio guys like me, but we appreciate it, and we'll look for you here in Sarasota. John, thanks for being with us.
You betcha.